Good morning, everyone. It's Friday and the day after the 4th. I'm excited. We're actually here. Actually, we're here. Karen's not here today, so I'm going to be here by myself. She's flying in right now. She'll be here next week, but I just wanted to say hello, and we're going to talk about keto and IF and any other questions you have within reason. Anything that I say is not meant to diagnose you or cure you. This is just meant to give you some great background information for your research into your health. So check with your doctor before accepting any recommendations, okay? That being said, we got a lot of callers, and I hope you guys had a great, wonderful the 4th. But let's go to Shauna from Indiana. Are you there, Shauna?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Hi. Awesome. I have a question. Actually, I have two questions. First of all, thank you very much for your information, for your data. They're very amazing. Yes, I'm doing keto, maybe like about 9 months, and I noticed my blood vessel in the eye broke 3 times. And sometimes I feel like I have bruises in my eyes. I went to eye doctor, and she checked my eye pressure. It was fine, and she couldn't find anything wrong with my eyes.
Okay.
And I'm taking your brass juice powder. I'm taking electrolyte, nutritional yeast. Also, I watched video, and I'm taking vitamin C in sauerkraut. And I don't eat enough vegetables. I think I have SIBO. And also, I suspect I have gastritis. I started to have a burning feeling in my stomach after digest formula.
Okay, so I'll tell you what I'm going to recommend, because we have so many calls. I'm just going to keep it to one question, and you gave me enough data. So because we have Instagram live here, I'm also going to just kind of repeat the question because they can't hear it. You have your blood vessels in your eye are breaking up, and you're trying this and you're trying that. It's not quite working. You've tried to take sauerkraut for the vitamin C, because sauerkraut, believe it or not, has like 700 milligrams of vitamin C per cup. So 700. Our daily requirements are only like, I think, 90, something like that. So that should be really good. You don't like vegetables, but when the eyes are bloodshot, it's a couple things. And I used to have this problem really, really bad, to the point where my eyes were always bloodshot in the morning. And this is going to relate to the question that Sue's going to ask next, so I'm going to save that a little bit. But bloodshot eyes usually are a vitamin B2 or B3 deficiency. It could be a liver problem, but just so happens that B2 and B3 are good for the liver. But that being said, probably the biggest benefit are going to occur when you're actually doing healthy keto and IF, because when you have insulin resistance, you can't absorb these B vitamins, and the liver is going to be fatty. So it goes well beyond just the vitamin C complex. Vitamin C helps to strengthen the capillaries, the blood vessels, and you never want to take it synthetically because it's made from cornstarch and sulfuric acid. You want to take it from food. I'm going to recommend that you get it from more vegetables. So in addition to your sauerkraut, that would be good. Now, you're also having SIBO. That's a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So that needs to be handled. Watch my video on that, because that could be what's holding you up. You can't seem to absorb nutrients. When you have SIBO, you actually get malabsorption. You don't absorb the nutrients because the microbes are all eating all your food. So you're going to have vitamin deficiencies, nutrient deficiencies. So thanks for your call. Appreciate that. Hey, Sue, you're from Indiana. You had a question. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I got some cod liver that you suggested, and it's great.
Hey.
But do you just spoon up the additional oil? There was a lot of oil with it too.
Yeah. I think they put it in oil. So yeah, I wouldn't consume the oil in the cod liver. And there's cod liver. What she's mentioning is, I recommend one time you can order online this cod liver, and it comes in a little can. Scoop it out. I mean, cod liver is like very, very healthy. That's where you get the oil. You have 4 things. You have DHA, which is an omega-3 fatty acid. You have EPA, which is the other omega-3 fatty acid. Those are essential fatty acids. Then you have vitamin A and vitamin D, all in one thing. So Yeah, just scoop it out, take a little bit each day, because if you have the whole thing, it is so fatty, you're going to be satisfied for days.
Right. Okay. Well, I wanted to ask about waking up with sticky eyes in the morning.
Yeah. Now, are you starting, have you been in keto and IF for a while, or are you just starting?
About 2 years.
Oh, wow. And you still have sticky eyes?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any type of blood sugar issues or any other body issues?
I'm still working on taking your gallbladder formula, which I am, to get the gallbladder up to full speed.
Okay. So.
But I'm eating keto and IF. I'm not eating sugar.
Okay, great. So Sue asked a good question. What do you do? She has sticky eyes. And then what happens is, like, she's on keto for 2 years. So usually the sticky eyes are insulin resistance. Now, I just have to tell you a quick story, because I used to have this so bad. I remember once I was on a road trip, and I was moving. So I had my this truck with all my stuff in the back, and I had my car in the back, so I'm in a little hitch. So I'm driving across country, and all of a sudden my eyes got really sticky. In fact, I opened it up and my lens kind of cracked. I mean, this is really bad. I had to pull over, get a hotel, and then here I am. Finally, I can go to sleep, and my eyes feel great. In the morning, I wake up, and I open my eyes, and it tears again. And so it's Saturday, and I'm walking down the street trying to find an eye doctor. On a Saturday, nothing's open. I didn't think. It just so happens an eye doctor right down the street. So I'm like, wow, I was lucky. So I go in there, and I see it. I need to make an appointment, and they said, oh, sorry, you have to wait until Monday. I said, no, I need help right now because I have to get on the road. So I just basically walked through the back, forced myself through there. I'm like, Doc, quick question. I need some help. My eye, I can't actually see. Anyway, he put me on a little medication for the eye, got back on the road, took off. But the sticky eyes, oh my gosh, that was like a big problem for me for many years. It's a combination of insulin resistance, but it's not that you're lacking water. It's a combination of your metabolism of fats isn't quite right, usually because there's liver stuff going on. Sue mentioned that she was on the gallbladder formula. I think that's going to be the key, is to keep working on the liver and the gallbladder, because once you have the right absorption of vitamin A, that stickiness should go away. That rhymed. So you might want to adjust the fats either higher or lower depending on what's going on too, because if you're overloading the gallbladder and you can't digest it, that could be a problem. Those are some things that I would look at right now, and you may need to get an assessment, maybe an ultrasound of the liver to see, just to make sure that the liver's not fatty or there's not a problem with the liver itself, because that's what makes the bile. Thanks, Sue. Appreciate your call. Couple questions on social media. I want to mention a question from Scooter McGee. This was the question on keto and bypass surgery. How do you work them? Well, in a thumbnail sketch, there's some benefits and some big drawbacks from doing gastric bypass. One is that the benefit is that your diabetes probably will clear up, because when they actually remove sometimes or do a bypass of the first part of the small intestine, you instantly kind of disrupt something called the GIP hormone, which basically I talk about insulin being triggered by high carbs, but also insulin can be triggered just by eating in general. And that trigger is from a hormone in the small part of the small intestine, the first part of the small intestine, when you eat. So if you're bypassing that, you instantly get lessening trigger of that GIP hormone. And that's the benefit. But the problem is you also have some drawbacks, because you no longer have the capacity to digest like you did before. So when they actually make the stomach smaller, you reduce the stomach acid itself and also potentially the bile release. So now we have a problem with absorption of fats, amino acids, the fats from the bile, and the amino acid protein from the acid in the stomach, and also absorption of minerals. So if you had gastric bypass, the cool thing is intermittent fasting will reduce the requirements for nutrients. Number one, that's really good. And number two, you're going to have to enhance the diet with trace minerals with fat-soluble vitamins, probably some HCl, like in betaine hydrochloride, some acidifiers, and apple cider vinegar for acidifying. Maybe electrolytes are going to be good. And lastly, a really good amino acid supplement, okay? I'm not talking about collagen. I'm talking about an amino acid supplement that has all of the amino acids. Collagen does not have all the amino acids, all the essential ones, because you may have problems with just having a full breakdown of protein. But those are some things that I would do for Scooter McGee. That's the question there. Thanks for your call. Thanks for your question. Let's go to Ken from Austin, Texas. You had a question about benfotiamine. Go ahead, Ken.
Yes, about that and subcapsular cataracts.
Cataracts, yes. So, go ahead. What was that?
Subcapsular cataracts.
I'm having a hard time hearing that first word before you said cataracts.
Subcapsular.
Oh, subcapsular cataracts. Okay. Here's the thing, Ken. There's some data on cataracts that it's a combination of, there's a cloudiness coming from some calcium, but also it can come from what's called amyloid protein, which is basically a type of protein that is accumulates in the body. It's like a misfold. It kind of folds on the top of each other and gets all clumped together, and your body can't get rid of it, and it accumulates in the lens of the eye. It just so happens that comes from too much glucose in the blood as well as too much insulin. So a lot of times this plaquing, as in the form of amyloid, can accumulate in the brain and the cells of the pancreas. It can create a lot of problems for a lot of different tissues, especially the eye. So when you take benfotiamine, which is a fat-soluble B vitamin, that actually protects against the complications of the high sugar and high insulin, as in prediabetes or diabetes or insulin resistance. So, but if I were you, Ken, I would get on healthy keto immediately, and especially intermittent fasting. And the reason why is that when you do intermittent fasting and periodic prolonged fasting, and I talk about this, you can watch that video, you can actually get your body in a state of autophagy. And autophagy is like a self-cleaning, recycling mechanism, and that specifically targets those misfolded protein structures that accumulate in the tissues. So yes, you want to do benfotiamine as a protective mechanism, but you want to do intermittent fasting and periodic prolonged fasting to clean up that old protein that's not just in the lens of the eye, but it can be in the back part of the eye as macular degeneration. It can be in the brain. It can be anywhere. So thanks, Ken, for your question. Hope that helped. All right, so we have a shout out. We have shouting going on.
We do. Well, we've got a lot of shouting from all over the world, people interested in living healthy and losing weight. So let's say good morning to our viewers in India, Iraq, Oman, California, Puerto Rico, the UK, South Africa. We're not done. Australia, the capital of our great friends up north, Ottawa, France, China. I'm glad China's on. I'm not quite sure how that is, but that's terrific. Qatar, Finland, and finally, my old land of origin, Scotland.
Wow, that's fantastic. So we have people all over the world. For those of you that are on Instagram, he just gave a shout out to people basically on nearly every single country on Earth. Well, within, not quite.
Mars not currently represented.
Okay, give it time. So Steve, I have a question for you.
Okay.
You know, there's been kind of this consideration going on that it's normal for someone to have memory loss when they age, when they get older. Have you ever heard that before?
Well, what was the question? No kidding.
The question is like,
kidding.
Oh, it's. I didn't say hard of hearing.
Oh, there we
I didn't say hard of hearing. I said memory loss.
I have heard of that.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, it's fine. Eat what you want. It's just part of normal, aging. We lose our memory. But here's the thing, Steve. You have various degrades or gradients of memory loss. You have complete Alzheimer's, and then you have people that forget where they put their keys. or what room they went in, right? So I'm going to do a video on this, but that is total false information.
Thank goodness.
Yes, I know. It's not normal to lose your memory. It is not normal to lose, like your sense of direction or where am I located, where did I park my car. That's not normal. It can be improved, it can be reversed. And what's happening, the first thing that happens after insulin resistance, as we talked about before, as we have this high insulin, you start developing these plaques in the brain called amyloid plaques. That's the beginning of Alzheimer's. And Alzheimer's takes like 15 years to develop, but it starts with a little memory loss, and then it starts progressing more and more and more and more and more.
Horrible.
Yeah, so if any of you listening have just the slightest bit of memory loss and you want to improve it, you want to improve your memory, your focus, your concentration, you need to do intermittent fasting. Do it. Steve, you've been with me for like a year or two, but there was probably a period of time, 6 months, where you weren't really on the program.
No, I wasn't. You scolded me with my McDonald's bags and so on and said at least keep them off camera.
What?
And I certainly can't blame you for that.
Oh my gosh. So the point is that finally, you tried it, right? At first you were skeptical, then you're antagonistic, no, I'm just kidding. Then you're basically started to come over, you're like, well, man, maybe I should try this thing because you had inflammation in your feet, you couldn't run, your memory, like all these issues. But then when you started trying it, it wasn't until that point where you just get, you know what, there's something to this, I'm going to do more of it. And then all of a sudden, have you had improvement with memory?
Oh, it's just, yeah, I just feel sharper and healthier. And I think, a lack of, I won't get into this too much, but, it's depressing to be fat and and eating sugar all day makes me feel rotten. So I think that kind of affects it. But I am probably your most reluctant subject. I just had no intention when I came on board here to follow any of this. My job was to push buttons, but I have been on it. I should be closing in on a year, especially intermittent fasting. I'm still working on my keto, but I feel fabulous. I'm down 45 pounds, probably use a few more, but absolutely. And I think all the explaining in the world really falls on empty ear because you have to experience. And once you do what Dr. Berg suggests, then, if it doesn't work, then he'll gladly refund your misery.
Listen, I'll refund all the money that you paid on social media. How about that?
Absolutely.
All the money that, oh, by the way, that's free.
It works.
The guys, if you're new to the channel, just try it. Just try it. It's not going to be painful. Just do the intermittent fasting part if you're scared about changing your diet. I'm going to take a call, but then I want to talk about something that another person brought up on social media, and she wanted to know, she's new to all this thing, and how often can she do a cheat day? So I'm going to address the cheat day question. How about that? But let's go to, where are we here? We are, wow. Let's see, we're at Kim from Lubbock, Texas. Are you there?
Yes.
Hi,
yes.
Kim.
Hi. My question is, I was diagnosed about a year ago with lupus, Hashimoto's, and then he said I have these two connective tissue diseases that are overlapping. So he said I can't really identify those, but and I think I know when it all started. I had asthma. I've always had asthma for several years, and when I went into menopause, complete menopause, and my asthma got worse. So I got on this hormone replacement therapy, a cream. It was a prescription. It had estrogen and progesterone in it, and I didn't like the way it made me feel. I got off of it just cold turkey one day, and my body felt like it was attacking itself.
Okay.
I went to the doctor. My IgE level was up to 450 and is normally about 50. And I just got really sick. And it was just shortly after that I got diagnosed with all these autoimmune diseases. And so my question is where do I even start to try to reverse this? Okay,
Kim, let me talk to you. And I am seeing your questions on Instagram. I'm going to be answering some of the questions. But Kim has a issue with Hashimoto's and lupus, and she had asthma, right? And so she goes through menopause and it gets worse, So they put her on HRT, hormone replacement therapy. Then she comes off of that, and that's when her body started attacking itself. So an autoimmune condition is a situation where your own cells are basically attacking your own tissues. It's crazy. But here's the thing, here's what's interesting about autoimmune diseases. The body is not stupid. It's not that it's attacking itself for no reason. It's trying to, it's seeing some foreign invader. It could be a microbe, could be a molecule that could be mimicking a microbe. There's a lot of, or your own tissues. There's a lot of different things going on, but it always stems from some type of stress in the body or change in something. The fact that you had asthma tells me you probably were vitamin D deficient, and vitamin D is not really a vitamin. It's a hormone. It's a steroid hormone, and it acts like cortisol, which is an anti-inflammatory. And by the way, the number one drug they give for autoimmune is corticosteroids, which is cortisol. So what you need to do, or what I recommend you research for Hashimoto's and lupus, is to do higher amounts of vitamin D. If you want the data on that, go to my video on MS and check it out, because I give you a protocol and I give you some links to research vitamin D and higher vitamin D and autoimmune. That being said, the other thing that I would highly recommend is doing intermittent fasting, especially prolonged. Why? Because most of the damage from autoimmune disease occurs from inflammation. And so intermittent fasting is hands down the most powerful thing to demolish inflammation of anything. So if the inflammation is gone and you have an autoimmune, how are you going to have any damage to your tissues? I don't think you can. So it's vitamin D and intermittent fasting. That's the secret of the keto circuit, which is the circus lately.
Okay.
Thank you. Steve, I'm going to answer a question on Instagram. Someone had a question about OMAD. Can you do it if you're a female? Actually, no, you can only do it if you're a male and between the ages of 34 and 39. And other than that, you cannot do OMAD. And OMAD stands for 1 meal a day. Good. Next question. I think sometimes you have to realize I have a very dry sense of humor. Even my wife doesn't always get that. And so I'll say something like when I was in the clinic, I'd be working with someone, and I always just joke around. I said, you know what, your leg pain is almost so bad, I think if we remove it at the knee, take it off, and she thought it was serious. I'm like, no, we're not taking the leg off. I'm just kidding. So,
well, we in the control room enjoy that earthy sense of humor.
OMAD could be done with anything. If you're female, you need to do OMAD. You need to do OMAD if you're over the age of 40 and you have weight to lose and you want to speed things up. But if you're like 18 and you're female and you don't have any weight to lose, maybe you don't need to do OMAD. It really depends. The thing is, you want to use it as a tool. I think I want to bring up this one thing, Steve, and this is a question about the cheat thing, right? Cheat day. How often is it acceptable to cheat on your spouse? 0.
Oh, I thought it was whenever you could get away with it.
No,
okay.
No, because you're not going to get away with it. You don't want to. You don't necessarily want a cheat day on keto. Okay, so let's say you're new to it. What you have to realize is when you go off the program, you're going to delay the results for 24 to 48 to sometimes 72 hours because you're going to bump yourself out of ketosis. The best thing to do is to get into it hardcore, get the benefits, build up the health reserve, so you have this health reserve. So now you can afford to do a cheat day. Maybe right now you can't afford to go off the program. But that being said, I do know that some people can't be disciplined 100% of the time. So this is what I'm going to recommend. There's really 3 factors involved in this, Steve. You have keto, you got healthy, and then you have intermittent fasting. These are 3 tools. So let's say, for example, you can't give up all your carbs. Then be stronger at intermittent fasting. Don't eat it so frequent. Maybe eat higher quality food. But let's say you can't afford high quality food, and you're going to college, and you're, like I was, like eating at 7-Eleven here and there, Okay, so then you're going to you can't do the quality, so let's make sure your carbs are really low then. Make sure that your intermittent fasting is good. That way you can do the other 2 sides of the triangle, but don't don't do all three. Like, let's say, for example, you're a snacker and you can't do intermittent fasting. Well, make sure that the snacks are high quality, not junky and low carb. But let's say you're a college student and you can't afford any food and you have poor willpower, you can't do intermittent fasting, and you like carbs. Well, then you're pretty much screwed.
That's miserable.
Yeah. Then you need to, I can't help you at that level. You're going to have to, something needs to bend.
Well, I think one thing is just keep that out of the idea that that's a reward, because you feel so good when you're eating properly, and I'm not that disciplined. And if I, in the back of my head, think that, a cupcake is something that, is always available to me, then I obsess over it. And I don't feel good when I eat that way, and I would be lying to say that it doesn't ever happen to me. But I would rather return to that level of discipline that makes me feel good, lose weight, and just feel in control. I hate feeling out of control, and thinking that I get a cheat day here or there, it just causes me to focus on that instead of the great life that's provided by remaining somewhat disciplined.
Steve, I understand what you're saying. It's kind of like, I think it's also important to make sure that when you're in environments that you really choose your environment wisely. Like, don't hang out at the donut store or the donut shop. Okay, don't hang out at an all-you-can-eat buffet on every night of the week. Don't go to the bar to get your keto snacks. Okay, Steve?
Absolutely, I'm on it.
Okay, good. So let's go to Alika from Illinois. You had a question about SIBO. Go ahead.
Hi, doctor. I have SIBO. I have my gallbladder removed, and I was wondering, how do I incorporate the keto, because there's high fat, and if I eat too much fat, then I go to the bathroom. And the SIBO's been very debilitating for me.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you what to do.
Whenever I take...
Okay, so SIBO is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. It's a situation where the microbes that should normally be in the large intestine are in the small intestine. And so now, when you eat food, especially probiotics, you're adding more microbes in there that shouldn't be there, or you're doing prebiotics, fiber, vegetables, or you're gonna create this fermentation or gas in the small intestine. You're gonna feel so bloated. So you need to do intermittent fasting. You need to acidify the stomach with betaine hydrochloride, okay, and apple cider vinegar, or the combination thereof. And then the other thing is, like, you need to do an herbal antibiotic. I recommend garlic, oregano oil, thyme, things like that. But that's what I would recommend to help yourself. And then with the gallbladder, you might need to do some purified bile salts. Okay, someone said about, I use my glucometer after I eat to check for blood sugars, spikes. It keeps me accountable. That's a really good idea. You need like a test, like a blood sugar testing or a keto test, and actually just it's like kind of a scale. If you keep weighing yourself, it puts attention on the thing. Whatever you focus on, you can actually improve. So I think that glucose test is a great idea, especially in the beginning, or even get the keto urine strips and start testing yourself, because it gives you feedback on if you're doing a good job. That's actually a really, really good idea for another video. Thank you very much.
Now, Doc, I'd be remiss if I didn't say we had a lot of questions from Facebook and YouTube. So when you get a chance, let me know and we'll spill them.
Why don't you give me one question right now, because I'm going to try to get through these when you're done.
Good. Okay, Rami on Facebook. I have boils everywhere since starting keto. Help. Okay.
So the first thing I want to say, if you're getting boils on keto, is number one, are you doing it correctly? This is the book that I would recommend if you want to know how to do it like I'm recommending it. But boils usually are a blood sugar issue. And so you may have some pretty severe insulin resistance. I'm going to recommend, especially if this is kind of like a skin reaction, is to increase your B vitamins. If you're having reactions from keto, whether it's keto fatigue, keto rash, keto boil, keto bad breath, whatever, it's usually because of some vitamin nutrient deficiency that you're going into keto with already, and everything's magnified. So this is what I always recommend: nutritional yeast, okay, for the B vitamins, electrolyte powder, for your potassium, magnesium. And those two right there will probably get rid of most of the issues that you have. That's what I would recommend. All right. Good. So let's go to Gina from New York City. You had a question.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Hi. Yeah, I have a 13-year-old son who's having a lot of acne along his hairline, neck area, his chest and back. And I read one of your posts where you suggested estrogen with DIM, and I have that. I was taking it for myself, but I just wanted to double check with you to make sure that's okay to give it to him.
Sure.
And why would he be having acne in those areas?
Okay, so Gina had a question. Her son, 13-year-old son, has acne. Now, I've talked about acne in several different videos, and there's a product that I have called Estrogen Balance Plus DIM, and she's wondering, is it okay for him to take that? And no, because the DIM, and this answers another question on social media that someone wanted to know about, from Jessica Shaw. This is on YouTube, but here's the thing about DIM. DIM is a super concentrated cruciferous product. So it's like in one tablet, it's like equivalent to 2 pounds of broccoli or cabbage. So DIM helps to balance estrogens. There's 3 types of estrogens. There's a good one and there's some bad ones. So basically, all DIM does is balance the ratio. So now you have more good and less bad. And so it's really good for estrogen dominance, especially for even men that have man boobs, women that have hot flashes, cystic acne, and PMS, things like that. So, but for her son, who's 13 years old, that's more of an androgen problem because he's going through puberty. So androgen is a different situation. One thing you want to do, take a look at what will spike androgens, and it's insulin. So he needs to get off the sugar. He needs to do healthy keto. And for a child, probably the version of intermittent fasting would be 3 meals, no snacks. So just get him on that and make sure his meals are healthy and full of healthy fats. But there's one more little secret. There's one more secret, Gina, that I think will help everyone, especially for acne, especially for skin. You guys want to know this? This is like pretty interesting. It's very common, and it's a simple change. Get rid of the fluoride. Fluoride. Get a water filter, whole house or on your shower. The fluoride, which is a byproduct of fertilizer phosphates, and it's in the water supply. Don't ask me why, but it's very, very reactive on your skin, the fluoride. Not to mention you're drinking the tap water, which goes right into, it's going to affect your skin. If you could get a water filter, and recently I did a video and I recommended like Crystal Quest, because that Brita filter will filter like 2,000 gallons compared to like the Brita, which is only like 40 gallons. So it's a very reasonably priced way to get some good water that filters the fluoride. But the fluoride can mess up your skin. So get the water filter, and you're going to find your skin is going to be really wonderful. And that fluoride could be the hidden source of why your skin is not that great. So don't drink tap water. Drink either like filtered water and then on the shower filter. Good investment. Thank you, Gina. Try those things.
By the way, we've got a summit coming up, and I'm very excited.
Steve is going to be helping us with the summit. He's going to video the whole thing and organize it. You guys, if you don't know about the summit, you got to come. This is the Healthy Keto Summit. It's going to be at the end of August and the 1st of September. We have Dr. McCullough, who's going to blow you away with what he's going to talk about. I just found out what he's going to talk about. It's going to be incredible. I'm not going to even, it's a surprise, basically. We have 2 cardiologists who are keto-friendly. Medical doctor, Dr. Westman. Thomas DeLauer is coming. Okay, he's going to talk about exercise. We have Jacqueline Eberstein is coming. We have a professor who studies keto at a university. He's coming. And several other great guests. And so you got to come. It's very inexpensive this year. We dropped the price. Everyone comes. It's going to be in Maryland. So go to drberg.com, click the button, and get signed up, because very soon the prices are going up, and you want to get the ticket before that happens. So secure that, and hopefully you guys can come, because I can't wait to meet you. Last year I was able to meet a lot of you guys that were watching, and it's just like, I was just blown away how friendly and how nice and how cool these people are, Steve. I mean, they're just so amazing. So
Made a lot of friends.
Yeah. So we're going to have a blast. Okay? All right. So let's go to Luan from St. Paul, Minnesota. You had a question. Go ahead.
Good morning, Dr. Berg. Thank you so much to you and Karen for everything.
Sure.
Are you there?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll make sure I didn't lose you. We have been, my boyfriend David and I have been doing keto. He's been doing it really well for about the last 6 months. I started last August with a concussion and found you to figure out what to do to help. Once we changed out all the sugars, it helped a lot with the concussion. In the meantime, he's had a calcium scan done, and his came back at 1,300. His brother's came at 1,400. His other brother just found out his was 3,200. They want to put him on statins. We've been doing your keto like loyally. We're down to 1 meal a day, no snacking at all. We do all your vitamins, working on the SIBO. So his biggest question is, should he increase magnesium? Should he increase the stuff that would help reverse the atherosclerosis? Because one place he's hearing no, they can't be done. We're hearing so many places that you can do it. He does not want to go on a statin. Dementia and Alzheimer's runs on both sides of his family.
So let me explain what you do. This is what I'm going to recommend you do. So for those of you that are watching on Instagram, a lady from St. Paul, Minnesota called. Her husband has a calcium score of 1,300. What does that mean? There's a great test, the calcium coronary artery calcification test, and you can actually, it's not that expensive. It's pretty quick. And yes, it uses the CAT scan, but it's lower amounts than you would use for different other testing. But the test should be 0. You shouldn't have calcium in these arteries, but his is actually pretty high. Now, this is what I would recommend. I would recommend getting this test done every 2 to 3 months and see the progress. It should be improving, okay? It should be going down. If it's going down, then you're doing the right thing. Here's a couple things that you can research to see if you can help yourself. Number 1, take additional vitamin K2. Maybe an MK7, maybe an MK. Sometimes they'll have supplements with MK2, MK7, and MK4 together as one thing, and even maybe I don't know, the vitamin K1 too, because vitamin K2 comes in different versions, MK7, MK4. You can take it as a supplement, take more of that, okay, maybe 4x the amount, in addition to what I've talked about. You also need to take more magnesium. I would also take maybe a good chelator, okay, like EDTA. You can get as a supplement. Take that on an empty stomach, and then it pulls out these minerals, but then you actually put in the ones you want, minus the calcium, later in the day. But that's what I would do, just to kind of start to chip away at this calcium issue. Keep on keto, keep doing it, because if you do more intermittent fasting, that's going to actually get more healing. And the reason why the calcium is down there in the first place is because the body's trying to cement or patch something up. So keep doing what you're doing, and then see if it can go down in a relatively short period of time over the next year. There is Ivor Cummins is coming to the summit. You guys should come and talk to him personally, because he is the guy that really knows a lot about this calcium score, and he has a lot of research data, and I think hooking up with him would be very beneficial. All right, Doris, you're from Washington, D.C., right down the street. How are you?
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Hello?
Hi.
Oh, okay. Hi, Dr. Berg. Yes,
Hi.
I'm from Washington, D.C.
Your neighbor.
Yes, my neighbor. My question is, I have been back and forth with keto for, I guess, about 6 months, a little over 6 months, and I do intermittent fasting combined with fasted cardio. I eat right. Most of the time, sometimes I do mess up a little bit, but for some reason, I just can't get it right. I read also, you had information on how to begin. I've looked at so many of your videos, which they are very informative, but I'm just confused.
Yeah.
It's so many things out there. I mean,
Doris, I have a
I'm
question.
just confused.
Doris, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is keto? I just want to make sure you know what keto is. Do you know what that means, keto?
Honestly, no.
Okay.
My interpretation is cutting back, low carb.
Okay. So let me explain, because anytime you're dealing with someone that can't start, there's usually some basic things that are confusing. This is a common thing with a lot of people. Keto is short for ketosis or ketone. And a ketone is the alternative fuel compared to like glucose or sugar. Your body can also run on these ketones. It's an alternative fuel. And it's a breakdown product of your fat, okay, or your dietary fat that you're actually consuming. So that's what it is. And the way that you start to get your body to make these ketones is simply one thing. You lower your carb. So out of everything you can do right now, the starting point is to start cutting back your carbs as the first step. Don't even worry about anything, your protein or anything else. Just keep your carbs lower. And I'm talking about not vegetable carbs. I'm talking about the breads, pasta, cereal, crackers, biscuits, waffles, pancakes, muffins, sodas, juice, and the alcohol in Mad Dog 2020. So you want to reduce those items and just start there. Then watch my other videos on what to do from there. So check it out. And I think that's your first starting point, Doris. Okay? Thanks for your call. All right, Steve. I'm ready for a question.
Thank you. Yes, we've got a lot of folks on YouTube that would love some love, and Rose is the first one. She wants to know, why does my tummy hurt so much on keto?
Okay, so so this is for Instagram. Someone wanted to know, why does my tummy hurt from keto? Now I'm going to kill two birds with one stone.
By the way, that was YouTube, just so we give them some love. That was YouTube,
okay.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to kill two questions with one stone. I don't even know why they have kill two birds with one stone. That's kind of pretty mean. But anyway, so someone had a question, how do I get rid of my back pain, okay, with keto? Back pain and keto, and stomach pain with keto. Okay, so let's handle that. So let's start with the back pain. Okay, why would you have back pain with keto? Well, it's usually because you're sensitive to oxalates. Okay, and oxalates are in some top keto foods: almond flour, yeah, spinach, which a lot of people consume, chocolate, because you're doing it unsweetened, you're doing the keto bombs, kiwis, which you shouldn't be on because that's not keto, but it's in rhubarb, which you probably are not going to be on, but it's really the spinach, the chocolate, the almond. Those are the things you want to avoid to cut down your oxalates. Watch my video on oxalates, follow that to a T, and your back pain will probably go away. The other thing that could be causing the problem is too much protein that could overload the kidney. So make sure it's moderate protein. Okay, moderate protein, and your kidney problems should go away, and keep your vegetables high. Now, if you're getting abdominal pain, that could be gallbladder, and you have to maybe go easy on the fats at first and do the intermittent fasting to let the transit time, the food, go through the stomach instead of cramming the food down every hour and a half. So that should help the stomach. And then take take an acidifier, apple cider vinegar and betaine hydrochloride for the stomach, and that should help you. If that doesn't, then it's the vegetables that you may have a version of SIBO that's creating the bloating, and that's what's causing stomach pain. So watch the vegetables as well. But I have a video on bloating on that as well.
Okay, now, by the way, Doc, Karen is such a good defender of all the people on social media, and I'm just not quite so bold as her, but I want to get back to some people on Facebook and YouTube who are all saying online to give them some love. So maybe after your phone call, give me a second for a couple of these nice folks.
Absolutely. You know, Steve, I had an interesting comment from someone that was quite interesting. I was reading, and they were trying to get their relative on keto, okay? But they basically just came from an Amish farm and had a beautiful, beautiful mashed potatoes and gravy and steak, cornbread, and they had wonderful ice cream, dessert, and they can't do keto because they have diabetes.
I see.
What's wrong with that picture?
Well, absolutely. I mean, anybody that listens to you for a while realizes that that's just the fastest path to raising your blood sugar and insulin and all that. And aggravating diabetes is just a nutty misnomer that travels around. That
it's kind of like you have a fire, okay, and you got a big jug of water. I can't put out the fire because this is water. Okay, so then you have a serious confusion. Keto is exactly what people need to be consumed if they have high blood sugars, and so they're just like, it's just amazing. Okay, so now I need to go to Brian from San Francisco. You had a question?
Yes, I'm diabetic, and when I started this in March, my A1C was at 3.2. Now on June 26th, it's at
3.2.
I mean 13.2.
Oh, 13.2. Okay.
13.
Yeah.
So now June 26th, I went in and got 7.0 A1C.
Wow.
My issue is I'm not losing the weight. My friends are all started together, same time. They're not diabetic. They're down 40 plus pounds. I'm down 16. I'm doing the intermittent fasting.
Brian, this is a wonderful, wonderful question. I love the question. This brings up a really good point. So for those of you on Instagram, Brian had a question. He started keto. His A1C was 13.2. That measures like an average of three months of blood sugars. It's really high, okay? Now he's down to 7.0, which is improved. But he's not losing any weight like his friends. What do you do? Well, in this little booklet right here, right there, okay, I talk about something, a concept. Get healthy to lose weight, not lose weight to get healthy. In the processes, especially if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic or have insulin resistance, in the process of getting healthy, your body has to fix that first as a priority. And so it won't necessarily go after weight loss because weight loss is not necessarily a survival thing for your body. Think about it. The fat on your body is for potential survival. Your body's trying to hold fat. Losing anything is not good for survival. So survival is get your blood sugars down first, then the body will start mobilizing fat. So I've had diabetics complain of the exact same thing, and they're like, what's going on? But they're feeling better, they have these other benefits, their muscles are getting better, but then all of a sudden it starts coming off. If you wanted to speed it up, Brian, this is what I would do. I would do OMAD. Now you might already be eating one meal a day, in which case then you go to OMAD every other day. That's going to speed things up. You're just basically taking it and you're strengthening it. And I've had people that do this and they're not hungry and they're going and they finally are losing weight and seeing a massive benefits. Now you're thinking, wow, I'm starving. No, you're not. You're actually eating your fat between the meals. On the days you're not eating, your body is eating. So just make sure you take your nutrients. But I think, Brian, you need to step it up with intermittent fasting to see the change if you want to speed it up. I think it's working. It's just your body is in repair mode because it's trying to handle the blood sugars. I mean, this is a great if you're down like from 13 to 7, this means that your tissues are starting to come back. And that's a miracle in itself. So hang in there, Brian. Don't stop what you're doing, but do OMAD every other day. I did a video on that as well.
Now, Doc, at the risk of being scolded for being pushy, I really must ask a question for Brian on Facebook.
Sure.
Okay, Brian wants to know, does your electrolyte formula break a fast? I think that's a great question.
Yeah, and I've had people ask this. The question was, does my electrolyte formula break a fast? Well, here's the thing. It doesn't have any carbohydrates. It doesn't have any fats. It doesn't have any proteins. It has minerals. It has minerals, okay? So, no, it's not going to break a fast because you're doing nutrients. What breaks the fast is the calorie portion thing of it, and the sugars.
And yet it tastes good enough that I think I'm cheating.
Right, it tastes good because there's stevia in there. It's sweet, but it's not going to break a fast at all. Not a problem. No worries. I am coming out with an orange flavored, like kind of orange crush, very soon. So stay tuned.
Why? They already have Tang.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why we can't use Tang anymore. Tang is such a great low carb treat. Okay, so let's see. We have a question here. All right, so more information on kids on keto. Okay, this is on Instagram. What do you do with your child? Well, with the kids, typically you have kids that need to lose weight and kids that maybe don't. What I would do is I would start with keto, healthy keto. As far as intermittent fasting, I would do a version of it, which is basically 3 meals, no snacks. A lot of kids are being, they forced to oh, take your snacks if you're hungry. I think that's a bad idea. I think what I would do is instead give those snacks right after the meal as a dessert. And those snacks, I'm talking about the healthy keto bombs, which are low-carb little treats. And I have a lot of recipes on those as well. So that's what I would recommend. And also, someone asked a question about hair loss. When you're doing keto, you require more nutrients for certain things, especially fat. So you may, if you're subclinically deficient in certain nutrients, they might be magnified. So you're going to have to do more B vitamins, especially B2 and the trace minerals, especially zinc, if you want to prevent your hair loss. So those are the 2 things that I would recommend. Yeah.
Okay, Doc, listen, to heck with social media now. I have a question. And what I want to know, let me get myself up on camera, it's grilling season, and people are probably still using charcoal briquettes and lighter fluid to cook their food. Will I die from doing that, doctor?
Yeah, I think sometimes if you have the grill and the charcoal and the lighter fluid, which basically going to give off a lot of chemicals, I would highly recommend getting that lighter fuel burned off completely before putting anything on that grill, and make sure the distance between the coals and the food is quite high, because when the fat goes into this charcoal, the high heats, it could come back up as a vapor and create certain things called AGEs, which is I'm not going to give you the word for it now, but basically it can kind of throw off the nature of the protein. It's a little bit of a toxic thing. So that being said, yeah, the lighter fluid thing. Lighter fluid. I mean, you see these people grilling, and they're just like, all that lighter fluid they're just putting on there, and they're throwing their steaks on there. It's like bubbling up. It's smoking. Oh my gosh. Now here's the thing. Let's say you're grilling, and yes, there is toxic stuff coming out when you're doing that. But also, if you're consuming the amount of vegetables that I recommend, that is countering some of that effects. It's going to be hard to go along through life without getting toxins and chemicals. And this is why we do the phytonutrients, to start pulling all this stuff out and to protect the tissues, especially through the liver. So we need more larger amounts of salad, Steve, cruciferous vegetables on a regular basis. Very important. Okay? All right.
You learn something new every week?
I have to just hammer that home, like maybe every day for you, Steve. Okay, so we have Tamaha from Maryland. Go ahead, you had a question. Tamaya. Sorry about that.
Hi, no problem, Dr. Berg. Thank you so much for all your videos. So real quick, I'm 40 years old. I'm about 60 pounds overweight, and this is my second time doing keto intermittent fasting. And this time I've been much more aggressive. I'm now doing the warrior diet, which is perfect for me. And now I'm prolonging it. So I'm on, the first time I'm doing 48-hour, I'm in the process of doing 48-hour fast. Now, for at least 10 years, plus years, my feet and legs have been swollen just nonstop, and it's worse in the summertime. And I realized it was sodium and so on and so forth. So this keto intermittent thing is magnificent. The thing is, my right leg is perfectly almost normal now, and my left leg is starting to, it's definitely reduced in swelling. And I've been eating like 7 to 8 cups of spinach with my meal, because spinach boils down to nothing, but so it's easy to consume. But I'm curious as to what your thoughts may be on why one leg is now almost perfect and the other one is kind of like stalling. I mean, should I be fasting?
Are you,
I don't know. Longer? I don't know.
Are you doing any raw vegetables?
No. My salads. When I do the salads, but I kind of got addicted to cooked spinach, so I haven't done my salads recently. But when I did keto the first time, I did do the raw salads, yeah.
Okay, good. So on Instagram, she had a question that you probably didn't get, and that's basically started keto the second time, getting some great benefits. The swelling in the leg is down on the right side, but not the left as much. She wants to speed it up. So when you have swelling on the right side, that's usually more liver-ish type issues. But on the left side, it could be more heart. Now, I'm not saying you have a heart problem. I'm just saying the heart is on the left side, and if the heart's a little sluggish, that can reduce the time it takes to push the fluid out. That being said, what happens when you do keto is you drop your sugar and you drop your water retention because you're balancing the sodium potassium. But if you're not consuming enough potassium from the diet, because maybe you're cooking the vegetables, okay, because that kind of throws off the minerals into the water, and you actually don't get the high levels of minerals. So you should do what I do. And you actually live in Maryland. You should go to the farmer's market. I'm going to the farmer's market on Sunday again, and they have the salad that's to die for. You get these bags, and I put them in the refrigerator, and I have a salad. I should probably show you. It's probably this big, huge, it's like at least 7 to 10 cups. And I do my salad right around 5 o'clock every day, and that's how I get my greens. So you need raw salads, okay? And then that's going to give you a lot of potassium. You can do my electrolyte powder as well, but you also want to do the salad because the salad has the potassium and the magnesium. That is going to push this fluid out. That's what's missing and with what you're doing. Also, one thing about intermittent fasting, when you do prolonged fasting, like she's talking about, like if you do 16 hours, that's when autophagy starts. That's that self-cleaning oven thing that I talked about of cleaning up some of the proteins. When you get 18, it's more. When you get to 24, it starts to really kick in there. When you get into 48 hours, you're going to start seeing inflammation drop significantly. But if you can get up to 72 hours periodically, that's when you start seeing your stem cells start going up with the immune system. You're actually developing a brand new immune system, and that's when you do it for like autoimmune stuff, severe weaknesses within the immune system. Okay? I just want to throw that in there. Go ahead, Steve. You had a question.
I do. Well, actually, Reese has a question on YouTube. Speaking of when you do something, he wants to know when you drink your smoothies. Is there a particular time of the day that makes that more beneficial or not?
Now, I think you're talking about probably the kale or maybe the greens drink or maybe the wheatgrass juice powder. I personally, what I do, it doesn't really matter when you do these. If you're doing just like your kale shake, you can do that like when you have your salad. It could be right at the meal, right before the meal. I have a mixture. It's a pretty large. I put lemon, I put water. It's probably it must be like 20 ounces, I would imagine. So I put the wheatgrass juice, electrolyte powder, and lemon and water, and I drink that down. And I'll drink some more water through the day because I'm exercising and I'm sweating and things like that. But I do that in the morning. So about 6 o'clock. I wake up at 5. I do one thing of coffee. And my coffee, I should have showed people, it's a small little thing. It's probably a small little cup of coffee. And then I don't do more than that. And then I drink my liquid an hour later. So that's just what I do, Steve. Make sense?
Absolutely, and thank you for spending so much time on the social media, folks. Again, Karen, the great defender of that group, will be back next week. And since Doc's married to her, she gets more attention.
Well, I had a question about, excuse me, is OMAD safe long-term? So, excuse me, OMAD is safe long-term, absolutely, because as long as you're eating healthy when you're doing it and you're not depriving your nutrients, when you do OMAD, one meal a day, the amount of nutrients that you require is a lot less. So you don't need the RDAs like you would with more food. Okay, and then the other thing is someone want to know, will stevia and erythritol knock me out of ketosis? And that's answer is no. And they also want to know, I have candida. Is it okay to do stevia and erythritol? Absolutely, because both of those are 0 on the insulin index and actually the glycemic index. Because they're not going to be on the insulin index. That's more non-carbohydrate. So yes, they're totally fine to consume that. And Christina, you had a question. You're from North Carolina. You are the last question. Go ahead.
I am. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I have a 13-year-old daughter who has recurring nosebleeds, and she had 3 a couple days ago, and I'm wondering what that may be a symptom of.
Mm-hmm. Does she ever eat vegetables?
She's a great eater. She eats vegetables. She eats berries. She actually does intermittent fasting. She only eats twice a day, just on her own, and she's just not hungry in the morning.
Wow. Does she have sinus problems?
No.
Okay. So then, is she out in the sun a lot, or no?
Out in the sun? No, not enough. She's a modern day teenager.
Yeah, there's a couple things with nosebleeds, and it could be a vitamin D deficiency. Potentially, it's usually vitamin C.
You know what? I think she's low in vitamin D. I think maybe there's a scale of 30 to 100 or something, and she's like 34, and I don't know what that means or if 100 is even ideal in your opinion, but I'll give you that. She is definitely, we just had her vitamin D tested.
Yeah, that's what it is. And you can get a vitamin D drop, put it in her or a tablet, and start taking it. I think you'll see some great changes. And let me know if it works, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I will.
Guys, I really, really appreciate all your wonderful questions. I'm glad that you guys were happy, and a lot of great, wonderful things that you're saying about your results. It's fantastic. So thank you very much. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. Karen will be here. Have a great weekend.